Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, and the motion carries. We're on to agenda item number 2, discussion of possible action on the increase of the expenditure amount authorized for the city manager from $25,000 to $50,000 before requiring a vote of the council due to a nationwide pandemic of COVID-19 virus and anticipated revenue reductions as a result of the emergency. And I'm gonna skip the whereases because they are the same as they were before, so now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of McAlester, the City of McAlester strongly supports the need to prevent further spread of the COVID-19 virus. The City of McAlester affirms that a global outbreak of COVID-19 will impact the city and its ability to function, as well as the council's ability to form a quorum in the event of need of approval of an expenditure exceeding $25,000 but not exceeding $50,000. The City of McAlester authorizes the city manager to have temporarily increased expenditure authorization up to $50,000, and may hold this authorization until June 30th, 2020, at which time this resolution will expire unless the council acts to extend the temporary increased expenditure authorization. I would once again make that in the form of a motion. Second, Councilman Cox. Any further discussion? Cora, would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Cox,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, and the motion carries. We're on to agenda item number 3, discussion and possible action on the suspension of the 10-day passaging cutoff policy for utilities during a nationwide pandemic of the COVID-19 virus. That has been declared a national emergency. Once again, I'm going to go to the therefores. The City of McAlester strongly supports the need to prevent further spread of COVID-19 virus. The City of McAlester affirms that utility consumers may be financially impacted by the pandemic and may require extra time to recover from the effects of the pandemic. The City of McAlester authorizes the city manager to temporarily suspend the 10-day past due cutoff policy for utilities until July 1st, 2020, at which date the council may so choose to extend the suspension based on the needs of utility customers. And that's in the form of a motion, and I'll take a second. Second, Vice Mayor Stevens. Question?
Oh, no. I guess we get it.
Any questions or comments? Cora, would you call the roll, please?
Vice Mayor Stevens,
Yes.
Councilman Cox,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, and the motion carries. We have one more, it's not an agenda item, it's a proclamation. It's whereas the World Health Organization has declared COVID-19 coronavirus to be a global pandemic, and whereas the President of the United States has declared an infectious disease national emergency to combat COVID-19, and whereas the Governor of the state of Oklahoma has declared an emergency caused by the impending threat of COVID-19 for all Oklahoma, whereas the Pittsburgh County Commissioners have declared an emergency for the potential effects of COVID-19, and whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have issued guidance for mass gatherings, community events, public facilities, and whereas it is advised that communities limit public gatherings to crowds, whereas at the time of this proclamation there have been 17 confirmed cases of COVID-19 within the state of Oklahoma and 0 cases in Pittsburgh County, whereas mitigation actions will help prevent the spread of infection and protect the health and safety of the city. Now therefore I, John Brown, Mayor of the City of McAlester, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim and declare a state of emergency exists within the city limits of McAlester, Pittsburgh County, Oklahoma. This proclamation shall become effective at 5:30 p.m. March 17th, 2020. The public facilities of the City of McAlester are closed, and all programming and events shall be postponed or canceled until after April 5th, 2020. All in-person gatherings for social, spiritual, and recreational purposes, including but not limited to community, civic, public, leisure, faith-based or sporting events, parades, concerts, festivals, conventions, fundraisers, and similar activities are discouraged until after April 5th, 2020. Local restaurants, bars, businesses, and privately owned gathering places are highly recommended to ensure at least 6 feet of space for each patron per CDC recommendations until after April 5th, 2020. Residents and visitors are encouraged to continue to support local restaurants and other privately owned businesses with an emphasis on takeout or delivery options when available. All residents are strongly urged to follow recommended protocols of exhibiting certain symptoms indicative of COVID-19. Patrons of public spaces and parks are highly encouraged to use discretion in all parts of the park facility, playgrounds, and open spaces when crowded conditions exist. The state of emergency shall continue until 12:01 a.m. on April 5th, 2020, or until terminated earlier or extended by further proclamation signed this 17th day of March 2020. So we do now have an emergency declaration in the city of McAlester. However, we are not closing places, we're not closing restaurants or bars. We are encouraging people to avoid them if at all possible, and if you do need food from a restaurant, get carry out or curbside. Most of the restaurants are doing that. Take care of your neighbors, especially your older neighbors, because they are at higher risk than younger people. If you're going to the grocery store or somewhere, knock on their door and ask if they need anything. Help everybody help each other out. We got a long ways to go on this thing, and it's not going to be pleasant. It's going to be a lot of work, but we are going to get through it. And if we all work together, we can make it as least unpleasant as we possibly can. So, if no one has anything else, I would take a motion to adjourn. Vice Mayor Stevens.
Mr. Irvin, there's a bill right now in the Senate that's allowing for video conferencing and things like that. Do you know if that got passed today?
I don't know that it got passed today. I know that it's being fast tracked, and so I anticipate that it either was passed today or it will be passed in the near future.
The Senate bill was passed.
Was
We
it?
don't know on the House.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
That's correct.
I think
apologize.
maybe today,
Okay.
Senate, tomorrow House.
Okay. I would encourage us as a council as this continues forward, especially as we're recommending all these things to restaurants and bars and the rest of the community. I know that we're going to come together as a community. We're going to get through this together, and I'm very positive of that. But I think that's something that maybe we should consider as a council, and even planning and zoning and our other boards, is that it would allow us to video conference in for meetings instead of meeting here, because just looking around the room, we're violating what the president's asked us to do by at least 5 people in here right now. So I know there's more days ahead, and we're going to have to get through it together, but maybe that's a good thing that we do.
Yeah, I fully anticipate once they make it law, that we will be following that.
Okay.
Anyone else? Councilwoman Harris?
Oh, all right. I talked with McAlester Nursing Home in Ward 5, and they said that they're screening for their residents as well as staff, and there's no communal dining or group activities. They're emphasizing hand washing and social distancing, and they're limiting their visits basically to medical personnel. So they're doing well. And the restaurants that are over in Ward 5 are also following the CDC regulations and doing extra precautions on sanitation and health. So I'm just going to share that with you.
That's the thing. As much as you can stay away from other people as you can is the best thing that you can do at this point. If there's no one else, I take a motion to adjourn. Motion, Councilman Smith, second Councilman Brown. Any discussion? Would you call the roll, please?
Councilman Smith,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Harrison,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Cox,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes, the motion carries. Thank you, guys.